Let's talk about some of the reasons why you may not want to live in Baton Rouge. Let's go. What's up guys, welcome to the channel. Sean Ramos here. This is Living in Louisiana, where we're talking about everything you need to know when it comes to what it's like moving to and living in Louisiana. So make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell because I'm putting out brand new videos just like this one every single week. And I am a licensed realtor in the state of Louisiana, so that number that's popping up on your screen right now, it's the best way you can reach me. I am the guy that replies to every single call, text, or email, and I absolutely love hearing from you guys. So getting right into it, I honestly do believe that Baton Rouge and all of South Louisiana is a great place to live. I've moved away a couple times for different reasons, but always ended up coming right back. And proof that we really do love it here is the fact that my family and I are still here. We could pack up and move at any time, but we choose to be here. I think you would be hard pressed to find better people. Southern hospitality really is a thing, and there are just some really genuinely great people around here. We've got some of the best food in the world, and there's so much to do. Louisiana truly is a sportsman's paradise. So there's the fishing, the hunting, all the outdoor activities. It's just an amazing place to be, but it's definitely not for everybody. There are some things that I truly don't like about living in Louisiana, but to me, the pros have always outweighed the cons, so here we stay. So let's get into some of the cons. That's what this video is about. The first thing, and probably my absolute least favorite thing about living in Baton Rouge, South Louisiana, is the heat. The heat is the one thing that probably really makes me think sometimes that maybe I should just move away. The summers are just intense. I actually just did a whole video about how to survive Louisiana summer, and I'll put a link to that video in the description so you can check it out after this one. And I get it, Louisiana may not be the hottest state temperature-wise. I hear people in Vegas and Phoenix talking about 110, 115, 120 degrees. But it's not just the temperatures here that make it so uncomfortable, it's the temperature plus the humidity. So when we're dealing with temperatures that are 95 degrees and humidity levels that are really high, it's just a bad combination. It's so hot! I know that every time I walk outside during the summer, I make this disgusted face. Ugh. Because every time I open that door, it just hits you like a ton of bricks. If you're not from a climate that has high humidity, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like you're living in a sauna. The air just feels thick and it's just muggy. So you're gonna sweat. It could be early morning, late evening, just standing outside, you're gonna break a sweat, and you're probably gonna need multiple showers a day. And you never really get used to it. It's something you just have to deal with and you have to tolerate. And I'm thankful that I don't have a job where I work outside anymore, because just walking from the house to the vehicle can be a little unpleasant. Luckily, there are some ways that you can help stay cool. We've got some fun water parks around the area. There are some public pools you can get into. Now, if you wanna take your kids to the playground during the hotter part of the day, they probably can't even get on the playground equipment. Everything's plastic and it just gets really hot to the touch. But a lot of the parks in the area do have splash pads where the kids can go out and play in the water. The second thing that I don't like about living in Baton Rouge in South Louisiana are the bugs, particularly the mosquitoes. Those little suckers can be so aggravating during the summer. It gets to be almost impossible to sit outside in the evening time because they're gonna be swarming, and for me, for whatever reason, they really love to get my ankles. So when I do spend some time outside in the evenings and I have shorts on and low-cut socks, it's just known now at this point that my ankles are gonna be really itchy the next day. And there are things that you can use to help deter mosquitoes, but I don't think that any of them really work that great. But just make sure you stock up on bug spray. You're gonna have some Thermacells. Citronella candles may help some, but you never can get rid of them. I was talking to my pest control about it recently, and he said there is some type of mosquito fogger that he can use. And he said it does help some, but even he said that there's nothing you could do to completely be rid of them. In addition to the mosquitoes, the wasps can get pretty bad during the summer. They get really active when it's hot outside, so you have to be careful. Make sure you keep plenty of wasp spray around your house because they'll have nests pop up everywhere. Just yesterday, we were moving some patio furniture around outside and they started flying out from underneath one of the chairs. So apparently there was a nest there that we couldn't see. In the past month or two, it's been almost unbearable sitting outside because the horse flies would just swarm late afternoon and early evening. And when those little suckers bite you, they leave a big whelp. They seem to have died down for now, but my pest control guy also said they'll be back probably sometime around September. And also he said there's not much he can do about those either. And love bug season can be kind of a pain in the butt too. The air can get thick with these things, and they're especially going to be a pain for your vehicle. You'll see that every time you drive around for a while, the front of your vehicle, the windshield is going to be covered in these bugs. And this is where it comes in handy having membership to a car wash that you can drive through pretty much daily to keep these things off. Those are some of the main bugs that you actually have to deal with. But then there are some that you really don't see. Wood destroying insects can be a bit of a problem in South Louisiana, and that includes termites and powder post beetles. So when you're buying a house down here, you want to make sure that you have an inspector that can check these things out too. And the home inspector that I would recommend to you, he's actually licensed and certified to inspect for these things. And when you do buy that house, don't wait until you have a termite problem, because it's just a matter of time. You're probably gonna wanna have your house treated and keep it under contract to make sure that you don't have any issues. The third thing that may keep you from wanting to move to Baton Rouge is the crime. If you're moving here, I'm sure you've Googled it. And if you haven't, go do it. You're gonna see lots of headlines about Baton Rouge having some of the worst crime rates in the country. And I can't argue with the stats, but what I can tell you from living here my whole life, I never feel unsafe here. When you look at those stats, you'll see that a majority of the crimes are property crimes rather than violent crimes. And of course, not to say that there aren't any violent crimes, just in our experience, we haven't had any issues. But that property crime, that's gotten me before. Years ago, I had a job where I was delivering pharmaceuticals to different pharmacies in the area in my own vehicle. And me being the genius that I was back at that young age, I had stopped at a gas station in not the best part of town, but I had to get gas and I needed the receipt, and when it didn't print, I went inside the store to grab my receipt, but I had left my door open and my keys in the ignition. And as I stood in the store, I watched the lady walk from the payphone, and that tells you how long ago this was, towards my truck. And as she got near the driver's side door that was open with the keys in the ignition, she jumped in and took off. And I wish we had the surveillance video of that, because I'm sure it's hilarious watching me run outside of that store and try to chase her down in my vehicle. So that's really been my only experience with crime in Baton Rouge, but I guess it's kind of my fault. I left the doors open and the keys in the ignition in a bad part of town. But like I said, me and my family are all over Baton Rouge. My wife and daughters go shopping all the time out there, and I don't really have any hesitation to let them go out there and do whatever they need to do. The fourth thing that I don't like about Baton Rouge is the lack of public transportation. So I've got friends in cities like Portland, Boston, Denver, and Austin that have really great public transit systems. I've always had these thoughts of how great it could be living in like a sitcom, like a Seinfeld or a Friends or a How I Met Your Mother, where you don't even need a car. You could just step outside and grab a taxi, jump on a bus, or jump on a train. But here in Baton Rouge, everything is spread out and there's just not much for public transportation besides a bus system that, it's limited on where it can get you. So just know that when you move here, you're going to need a car. There's no getting around it to get where you need to go. And speaking of cars, that kind of brings me to the fifth thing that I don't really like about Baton Rouge, and that's that you're gonna need insurance, and the insurance is not cheap. So I am talking about automobile insurance, but I'm also talking about homeowners insurance. Louisiana does have some of the highest auto insurance rates in the country, I'm told. Doing a little research for this video, I looked online and saw that the average auto insurance policy is about $2,000 a year. And I know my policy just renewed a few days ago, and we're paying $2,400 a year. So having higher auto insurance rate isn't ideal, but right now the bigger problem is the homeowners insurance. After Hurricane Ida last year, a lot of insurance companies just pulled out of the state altogether. So the ones that did stick around, they're charging more. So almost everyone that I've talked to, their insurance premiums have gone up pretty significantly. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a guy today that owns some properties in New Orleans, and he said he's selling off everything because the rise in the insurance premiums are just making it unaffordable. And also the insurance companies that stuck around are giving people a really hard time about their roofs right now. It's getting to be that if the house has a roof that's over 10 years old, it's probably gonna be an issue. So factor that into your budget. Not only are the mortgage interest rates high right now, but the insurance premiums are higher and you may need to replace a roof. The sixth thing that I don't necessarily like about South Louisiana or Baton Rouge are the natural disasters. So there's no denying it, hurricanes and flooding can be an issue here. We're hitting our stride through hurricane season right now, actually. But it's not something you necessarily have to deal with every year. There are hurricanes every year, but they don't always hit us here. If you've watched many of my videos before, then you probably heard me talk about it. Out of all the natural disasters, hurricanes is probably the one I would prefer to deal with. mainly because we have so much time to prepare. We know they're coming long before they ever make landfall. And while the hurricanes do bring in a lot of heavy winds, it's not like they're gonna blow your house away. Builders know what they're dealing with here, and they build the houses to withstand even the strongest hurricanes. So while you may have some issues with siding or shingles blowing off, chances are your house is going to be just fine. The biggest aggravation that hurricanes bring, in my opinion, is the loss of your electricity. Having a generator here, I think, is a must, or either having friends or family that have a generator so you can go to their house. And if it's in the budget, the whole house generator that powers your whole house and it comes on the second you lose your electricity, that's the way to go. And of course, with the hurricanes, you can also have some flooding issues. Some areas are definitely more prone to flooding than others, but as a whole in Baton Rouge, we don't deal with the flooding nearly as much as, say, a New Orleans, where just about the entire city is below sea level and it's like a bowl. So you wanna be careful of where you buy your house, and that's where having someone like me can come in handy for someone like you. If you're looking for an area that's less prone to flooding and doesn't require any extra insurance, I can help you find that. The seventh thing that I really don't like about Baton Rouge and South Louisiana are the roads and the traffic. I was just reading an article that was talking about how Louisiana has some of the worst road conditions in the country. Now, I feel really lucky that the highway in front of my house just got repaved right before we finished building our house. But I'm kind of further out, so the main road that we have to take to get to the road in front of my house is really rough. And they just did a lot of patching to the road, and to me it feels worse than it did before. But that's kind of the common theme around here. Bumpy roads and potholes are just something we have to deal with, and it seems like they're never gonna get caught up. And the traffic. I know I've talked about this in multiple videos, but I can't say it enough. I've driven all over this country and I've been through some really bad traffic, but the bottleneck that we have coming into Baton Rouge here from the west on I-10 is the worst I've ever seen. And I'm telling every one of you guys that are calling me about moving from somewhere out of state into Louisiana that my advice is to live as close as you can to where you're gonna work. Because we've got a big interstate construction project that's coming up that's gonna make our really bad traffic into a complete nightmare on I-10. So I would avoid that at all costs, and I know I plan on doing everything I can to avoid it. So there you have it. Those are some of the things that I like the least about living in Baton Rouge and South Louisiana in general. Let me know in the comments, is there anything there that's a deal breaker for you? So while those things can be a pain in my butt, I really do love it here, and I really can't see us moving anytime soon. I know for a fact that if you Google pros and cons of any big city in the United States, you're gonna find videos just like this one telling you about all the bad things about their cities too. So there's just no getting rid of it. And again, to me, the pros greatly outweigh the cons. So after all that, if you still decide that you wanna live here, I'm the guy to help you make that move. So that number that's popping up on your screen right now, that's how you can reach out to me, and I'm here to be a resource for you for anything real estate related that you need help with. Whether you need to make a move right now or if you're just thinking about doing something in the future, we can get that conversation started now, and there's absolutely no pressure. And guys, if you haven't done it yet, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and click that notification bell, because I'm putting out brand new videos just like this one, and I would love for you to be notified every time a new one comes out. Don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything you need from me. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you on the next video.